Hello, dear fans of TV Day's Drama Digest. We hope you're ready for the heart-stopping drama that unfolded on Days of Our Lives on Monday, May 5th. Today, we bring you a detailed, dramatic recap of all the action, heartbreak, and life-changing decisions that rocked Salem. If you're eager to know what happened and how it will impact the lives of your favorite characters, this is the perfect time to dive in and follow along with this extended and in-depth recap of the emotional twists and turns that define the day. The events of this episode are a perfect storm of high emotions, complex relationships, and impossible decisions. From Shawn's desperate plea to save his father, Beau, to Chanel's painful realization about her future with Johnny, and Johnny's emotional breakdown as he faces his inner demons, Monday's episode has set the stage for intense, far-reaching consequences. It's an episode that proves Days of Our Lives is at its best when it comes to mixing heart-wrenching drama with shocking revelations. Shawn's desperate struggle. A father's life on the line, the episode begins with an overwhelming sense of urgency as Shawn confronts the cold, hard truth about his father, Beau. After days in a coma, Beau's condition has taken a dark turn, and he is now battling sepsis, an infection that could prove fatal if not treated immediately. The clock is ticking, and Shawn finds himself in a race against time. His father's life is hanging in the balance, and no one knows what the next few hours will bring. Kayla Johnson, always the voice of reason and care, pleads with the doctors to take action, to do anything they can to save Beau. But despite her best efforts, the doctors are reluctant to take any further risks. The only glimmer of hope comes from an experimental drug that has shown promise in treating patients like Beau, but the doctor overseeing Beau's treatment refuses to take the leap. This drug is still in its trial phase, and while it could potentially save Beau's life, using it could come with significant risks, especially given Beau's weakened condition. This rejection sends Shawn into a tailspin. Desperate to save his father, he turns to Steve, a man who has always had his back and who understands the gravity of the situation. As Shawn and Steve discuss their options, the reality of their predicament sets in. They know they need to act fast, but the stakes are higher than ever. What can they do to save Beau when everything they've tried has failed? The only option left is drastic, and it involves stealing the experimental drug. As Shawn and Steve hatch a plan, they fully understand the weight of their actions. If they go through with this, they risk their freedom, their reputations, and possibly even their relationships. But for Shawn, there's no choice. He cannot let his father die without fighting for his life with every ounce of his being. The question is, will this desperate move lead to a miracle for Beau, or will it bring about unintended consequences that will change Shawn and Steve's lives forever? Chanel's heartbreak, dreams shattered by Johnny's decision. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to Chanel, whose dreams of building a happy family with Johnny are slowly unraveling before her eyes. Chanel had spent months working tirelessly to win Amy Choi's approval so that she and Johnny could adopt Sophia and Tate's child. Chanel had grown attached to the child, imagining a future full of love, joy, and the promise of a new life. The child, whom Chanel began to see as her own, became the center of her world. For a brief moment, it seemed like everything was falling into place for Chanel. She had the approval she worked so hard for, and Johnny was on board with the adoption. Chanel was ready to welcome the child into her life, excited for the day when she could bring him home and start a family of her own. But in an emotional and devastating twist, Johnny drops a bombshell. He refuses to adopt the child. This decision shatters Chanel to her core. She is blindsided and devastated, left questioning everything she thought she knew about her future with Johnny. Her dreams of motherhood are dashed in an instant, and she's left trying to pick up the pieces of her broken heart. What could have caused Johnny to make such a decision? Chanel is left searching for answers, struggling to understand the man she thought she knew. And as the pain of rejection sets in, the true cause of her suffering becomes clear: EJ. It is EJ's interference and manipulation that has led Johnny to give up on the adoption, and Chanel feels completely betrayed. In an emotional and intense confrontation, Chanel faces off with EJ, accusing him of destroying her dreams. She rips into him, demanding answers for why he would sabotage her happiness. This confrontation is charged with raw emotion as Chanel finally lets go of all the pain and frustration she's been holding inside. EJ, ever the strategist, tries to defend himself, but Chanel sees through his excuses. The damage has been done, and Chanel vows never to forgive EJ for the heartbreak he's caused. Johnny's struggle. Facing his inner demons meanwhile, Johnny is left to deal with the aftermath of his decision to refuse the adoption. Tate, understandably upset by the news, confronts Johnny and punches him in anger. However, as the fight settles down, Johnny begins to explain himself. It becomes clear that Johnny is struggling with deep internal conflict. He knows that he has hurt Chanel, but he also feels trapped by his past and the weight of his family's legacy. Johnny has always been haunted by the shadow of his father, Stefano Di Mera, and the burden of living up to that name. Johnny longs to be his own man, but he feels lost in a world that constantly reminds him of his dark past. Tate finally begins to understand that Johnny is not the villain in this situation. Johnny is a man torn between the person he wants to be and the person he's afraid he's becoming. In a poignant and emotional scene, Johnny turns to Marlena for guidance. He confesses his struggles, admitting that he feels like he's destined to repeat his father's mistakes. Marlena, always the voice of reason, reassures Johnny that he is not his father and that he has the power to change. But Johnny is uncertain. Can he truly break free from the past and embrace a future of his own choosing? The internal battle that Johnny faces is only just beginning, and the coming days will reveal whether he can find the strength to overcome his demons. Kat and Chad. Strained conversations and uncertain futures elsewhere in Salem, Kat and Chad have a tense conversation about Kat's work. It's clear that Kat is passionate about her career, but her choices are causing strain in her personal relationships. Chad, who has always been a devoted partner, finds himself at odds with Kat over her professional ambitions. As the conversation unfolds, both characters are forced to confront their own desires and the difficult decisions they must make about their future together. Their relationship is on shaky ground, and the uncertainty about what lies ahead is palpable. Can Kat and Chad find a way to compromise, or will their differing aspirations drive them apart? Conclusion. The tension builds as Monday's episode comes to a close. The tension in Salem is at an all-time high. From Shawn's desperate actions to save his father's life, to Chanel's heart-wrenching confrontation with EJ, to Johnny's internal struggle, it's clear that the stakes have never been higher. Each character is grappling with life-altering decisions that will impact not only their futures, but the futures of those they love. The drama is far from over, and as the days progress, the consequences of these actions will continue to ripple throughout Salem. Shawn and Steve's dangerous plan, Chanel's broken heart, and Johnny's fight for redemption are just the beginning. Kat and Chad's relationship is at a crossroads, and the future of Salem itself is uncertain. The storm is brewing, and we're all left wondering how it will all play out. We hope you enjoyed it and look forward to sharing more with you in the future. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe TV Days Drama Digest for more updates on Days of Our Lives.